Calgary Police Service Guns and Gangs Unit operation has led to a significant seizure of drugs, including a large quantity of methamphetamine. In July of this year, the service initiated an investigation after information was received in regards to the drug trafficking activities of a group of individuals, which also potentially posed a risk to public safety. On September 11th, the Calgary Police Service arrested 2 men in a northeast Calgary parking lot and conducted a search of their associated vehicles. Over 10 kilograms of crystal methamphetamine, approximately 260 grams of crack cocaine, and almost $9,500 in cash was discovered in the first vehicle. In a second vehicle, investigators located additional quantities of methamphetamine, powder and crack cocaine, a loaded .22 caliber handgun with an extended magazine, a GPS tracking device, a pair of two-way radios, gloves, balaclavas, and a wide variety of blunt force weapons consisting of an extendable baton, 2 bats, and an axe. In total, police seized the following quantities of drugs: approximately 10.5 kilograms of methamphetamine, 1,260 grams of cocaine, and just shy of 15 grams of crack cocaine. The total street value of this combined seizure equates to approximately $1.18 million. This is believed to be the largest seizure of methamphetamine in Calgary to date. Jason Quinn Antonio, age 38, of Calgary, has been charged with 2 counts of possession for the purpose of trafficking and 1 count of possession of proceeds of crime. Further drug and weapons charges are pending against Mr. Antonio. Jose Rodolfo Cruz Rivera, age 59, of Calgary, has also been charged with 1 count of trafficking in a controlled substance. That's the briefing, folks. I'll now take some questions such as I am able.
Jason, can you speak to this information received? Was it based on a prior investigation, or was the information received from the public?
The latter is where, now, again, bearing in mind the investigation is ongoing, but certainly in most of our ore crime investigations, we rely heavily on help from the public, and this investigation was no different. We had information from a variety of sources, many from the public, most anonymously, that helped us out.
So what was it about these suspects or this operation that posed a threat to the public?
Well, and again, without speaking specifically about this investigation, what I can tell you generally is that whenever we find ourselves dealing with an organized criminal group that's working with these kinds of quantities of drugs, I mean, you've got $1 million of drugs on the table in front of you. Historically in Calgary, we've always found it comes hand in hand with violence. These guys, these stakeholders in this industry, they are serious about protecting their product, their lines of supply, their customers, and sometimes it's just interpersonal differences and friction that play into it as well. But we know in Calgary we always have associated acts of violence. The fact that we've seized a loaded handgun, I think, speaks to that quite clearly. That's our concern. So it's one thing to be a drug trafficker in Calgary. It's another to be a drug trafficker who's a threat to public safety. That becomes a priority for us.
How well known are these individuals to police? Do they have previous records?
At this time, because again, we haven't gone through the court process yet, the investigation's ongoing, all I can tell you is they're here today, they've been arrested and charged in relation to this seizure.
Is the crystal meth locally made? Where did it come from?
That's a good question, and we're looking at that. We don't know where the drugs have come from, and in fact, we don't know whether this 10.5 kilograms, approximately, was destined for the Calgary market or perhaps destined to be hubbed off somewhere else.
And you know, like we've heard over and over that the crack cocaine is the big drug that's most widely trafficked in Calgary. Is that changing, like in other cities where meth is sort of becoming more and more heavily?
I can't speak for other cities. I can tell you in Calgary, meth has always been here. It's never historically been as prevalent as cocaine, whether it's powder or base form, crack cocaine as you would know it as, or of course marijuana. And again, speaking to this significant quantity, was it destined for the Calgary market? Right now, we don't know that.
So all of this was found in these 2 vehicles. Is it believed that there might be more drugs and weapons in other locations associated with these 2?
Yeah, it's a challenging question because, again, this investigation is still unfolding, so there may be more to come. We'll have to wait and see.
And are these 2 believed to be part of a larger drug trafficking operation? And can you speak to that?
speaking to, again, is it an organized criminal group? Is that what you're kind of getting at? And that, again, is something that we're looking at as the investigation unfolds. To back it up a bit and give you some perspective, this particular seizure, these types of investigations can take a fair bit of time. In this particular investigation, a lot of stuff happened in a very short period of time, much quicker than we're used to, but it was a good thing. But now we're kind of playing investigative catch-up and trying to piece together some of the elements here. That's why we can't answer all these specifics, but we're going to be getting there, and when we do know, we'll be able to come back and share that with you.
Are these two known to police?
And again, I think we'd address that, but I appreciate the nature of the question. Right now, I can tell you they've been charged with these offenses, but I can't go much beyond that at this point.
Great. Anything else? Any questions?
Can you just speak to the fact that this is believed to be the largest meth seizure in Calgary?
To date, yeah, you bet. I can tell you that from what we know, this is the most significant seizure in Calgary to date for methamphetamine, absolutely.
What kind of meth seizures have you seen in the past? Like, have any of them come close to this? Did it beat it by half a kilo, or is the largest one previously 1 kilo?
I'm speaking somewhat anecdotally here, but I think this is head and shoulders for Calgary at this point that I know of. If I find out differently, we'll certainly let you know. But right now, this is the most significant seizure we've had in Calgary.
Can you put into context, like, how many, like if this was being sold on the street, how it would be parceled out and how many sort of sales or whatever it represents? Like, I don't understand, you know, how many, I'm trying to put into perspective how many people that amount of drugs.
Well, I can tell you again anecdotally a lot. Methamphetamine, you can take it orally, you can snort it, you can inject it, you can smoke it. It can be consumed in a variety of ways. I'm told by our drug experts it goes roughly for the same price of cocaine, is how that works.
So the answer is we're not sure.
Well, the answer is we have less experience in Calgary with meth than we do other drugs. What I can do for you is offline later on, we have one of our drug experts that can speak to you and maybe speak a little more specifically about that if you'd like after we're done with the scrum here. Would that work?
Yeah, like I'm just wondering
Okay.
how each bag would be broken down and, you know.
And that's something I can't speak to intelligently.
So since you have had less experience with meth, is it alarming to see that much at once with one particular trafficking operation? Like, does it lead you to believe that there might be other significant meth operations out there?
And again, because we're so early on in the investigation, that's one of the things we're going to hope to piece together again. Because, again, I'll reiterate, was this destined for the Calgary market? We don't know. Was it destined to be pieced off, some for Calgary, some for other cities out there? Perhaps. That's one of those things we're going to look to get at. Not surprisingly, those that have been arrested and charged aren't really cooperating with us or sharing that information, so we're going to have to work at picking away at that.
But they are Calgarians.
Yes, they are.
And the two police radios, were they using that to kind of see where police were?
Yes, that was they look like police radios. They're not police radios. The concern for us is more so it speaks to a level of sophistication and organization. When we see drug traffickers using two-way radios to communicate, that speaks to a variety of things that they might be doing with that. But we don't believe at this time they were using those to monitor police traffic.
And you mentioned earlier that this all came together very quickly. Why was that?
The dynamics of two investigations are never the same. And it was a drug investigation. Certainly at the end of it, the intent was to seize some drugs and make some arrests. It just happened a lot quicker than we planned on, which again is a good thing, but it leads to us having to do more work on the back end than would normally happen on the front end as we build up our file. And again, some of that will come to light once this goes to court and all the facts come out.
So there was some opportunity in arresting them?
Sometimes a little bit of good luck goes a long way. I'll leave it at that for now.
Also, I'm sorry, you may have answered this already. Were they manufacturing this or just trafficking? So were they?
And again, one thing we don't know, because we haven't figured out the origin of where the drugs come from. Certainly methamphetamine, it is a manufactured drug. It's a chemical drug. As to where this lot was produced, that's something we haven't figured out yet, but we'll be working on that.
But they weren't producing it here in Calgary.
We don't know.
Have both these individuals, they live in Calgary? Is that
They're both of Calgary, yes.